It's now a little bit after 9 a.m., May 12th, 2020. I'd like to welcome everyone to our regular scheduled board meeting. If we please stand, I have the invocation and the pledge being performed by Commissioner Hale.
Everyone bow your heads, please. Lord, we come to you today praying for your guidance. We pray for your forgiveness, Lord. We pray that you'll watch over us as we make decisions for our community. Lord, we pray for our community, pray for our nation. Just watch over everyone and guide us. Pray for our first responders, the ones that have been affected by this virus here at home and abroad. Lord, watch over us, protect us, and guide us. I can't ask enough for that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business this morning is approval of minutes from our May 5th board meeting. Do I have any questions or comments, or do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Richardson, second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving right along, we have our consent agenda. I have items 2 through 10. Do I have any items wishing to be pulled for discussion, or do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull item 10 for discussion.
We'll pull item 10 for discussion. So I have items 2 through 9. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Gamble, a second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Commissioner Richardson, you have a question or comment on item 10?
Yes, sir. I know that we had asked or approved the purchase of a truck back in what, October was it?
It was a while back.
Beginning
in December.
And obviously we're missing, have a problem finding a truck. So my question is this, can we, I'm really concerned about the budget year and the lost revenue and stuff like that. So is there anything that we can do to put this off?
This source of funding has nothing to do with our general revenue at all. This
Okay.
is actually funded with a grant.
Okay. So this is grant funding.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about this, and I wanted to add, was that if it's approved and the motion is made, let it include a sole source provision in this. Because we've searched everywhere for trucks. You can't find any of these government contract trucks anywhere, and as you know, they are going to sell from $15,000 to $20,000 less than what you buy at a dealership. And that's a special program they put in place. So we've searched all over the place. We've gone through every manufacturer there is, and we actually found this truck in one dealership after a desperate search all over the country. So this would be a sole source, and it's almost identical to what we would pay under the government contract.
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer a motion to approve item 10 and declare Seminole Toyota for public, as a sole source.
I have a motion by Commissioner Richardson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fleming. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. At this time, I would ask for an update this morning from Mr. Kerry Walter. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. I'll be very brief this morning. Just wanted to update you that we will be announcing 2 new cases this morning. It'll bring us up to cases 148. It's a 20 female and a 77 female. The 77-year-old female is connected to a long-term care facility. The 20-year-old is not. We're still standing at 18 deaths in our community. We have had all of our nursing homes have been sampled to date. We have gotten the results back from Rising Oaks. All staff and residents were negative. So far out of Surrey Place, we've had 19 residents that are negative. 28 staff that are negative, and more results are continuing to come in. So I am extremely encouraged by these numbers. Last Thursday, we had our first drive-through testing where we saw 118 individuals. First car was lined up about 7:30, and we started a little after 8. Out of those 118, 6 were symptomatic, and because they were symptomatic, we tested them for the state lab. I'm happy to report all 6 of those tests have come back negative. Out of the 118 that have tested, we have gotten back 79 negative results, so we're still pending more results. Also this morning, we started back with our second round of drive-through testing. They were lined up at 7 o'clock. We were able to start right about 8 o'clock, and I'm going to dash after I answer your questions because we have been steady all morning, which I'm very, very encouraged the number of folks coming through, and do anticipate that we'll continue to see more negatives come through with our testing. We'll also, that is today again from now until 11 a.m. And then again on Thursday, we'll offer drive-through testing here at the health department from 9 a.m. to 11. We are working with trying to put together an opportunity to go to Branford this month and do the same down in Branford.
Thank you.
So we've got some ideas that we're working out. So probably within the next 2 weeks, you'll hear more from us about going to Branford to do drive-through testing down there. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Chairman, one question, Mr. Waldron, for you. It would be, do you have any updates on the people who have, numbers of people who have gotten over it?
Have recovered?
Recovered, yeah.
We're still working with the state on giving us that exact formula, but we've been following the CDC guidelines, and based upon the number of folks that have been tested, which are 148, based upon that 14-day normal recovery period, knowing that some people take longer to recover, some do not, we should have about 129 people that have recovered. So our cases, I don't want to jinx us, we're seeing smaller numbers of positive cases.
Thank you very much.
I'm trying not to jinx us, Mr. Harris.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I heard that this test was very painful. How is people receiving it?
Well, the test that's being done for the state lab is in the nose, and it goes way up into the cavity, almost to the brain. It is not pleasurable, but it's a brief moment.
That's not just the test either, that's every day.
The drive-through, we're doing an oral swab, so it's doing your tonsils, so there's a little bit of gagging, but it's very, very brief.
We're going to volunteer you for that,
No, sir.
Commissioner Fleming.
I was looking at it on TV this morning, and I'm saying, man, they had people with their heads back, and it looked painful, and I heard that it was kind of painful, and I think you mentioned that it go up where you were probably fudging a little bit that it go to the brain, which the brain is up pretty good, I guess.
It'll bring a tear to your eye.
Oh, no, okay.
You've heard of Roto-Rooter before?
Yeah.
Well, and that's right. It goes in and we twist it around and to get the sample. But I will say, all the folks that have come through, like I said, we had some lined up at 7 o'clock this morning. They've been very patient. They've been very kind. They've been very appreciative. Our staff is out doing a tremendous job, and it's been well received in the community. And although we've got small ground at the health department, we've been able to arrange it to run 2 lines, and it's gone quite efficiently. We've had both City of Live Oak PD and the Sheriff's Department participating to help us with control. And so far, we've been steady enough and fast enough. We have not had traffic back out onto Nobles Ferry.
Thank you, Mr. Walden. Any other questions, comments?
I've got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
So how are you holding up on the numbers of test kits that you have available?
We're getting a lot of test kits.
Okay.
I mean, the state seems to be pushing out a lot. They've just contracted with a new lab, a Northwest lab. They're sending us testing kits, so we've not had an issue with testing kits at this point.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
One more question, just out of curiosity. Would you say that at any point in the future, the federal or state government's going to begin to allow these numbers to look more realistic as to how many we actually have, meaning that the counties that are getting better and better and better are going to look better and better and better on the map, instead of just showing the number of cases without recovery?
Well, we're working on, I know at the state level, working on recovery data. We try to track it and keep up with it for our own purposes so that we'll know. The indicator that I'm really encouraged by is the more we test, the more negatives we're seeing. And that's very, very encouraging.
I just would like to see public numbers show more of the net numbers than they would the gross numbers.
Directions from the state is they are working on that to be able to publish that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Speaking of that, Mr. Waldron, I know you guys are doing the test to see if anyone has the virus. Any talk of, on the state level, doing any testing to see if, like the anti-gene, if someone's already had it, that type of test? I know there's some tests out there for that.
They are discussing that, and it's being rolled out at the mass testing sites down in Miami, Broward, Jacksonville, Orlando. Whether it's going to come to the small rural areas, probably not at this point in foreseeable future. They're looking at those mass drive-through testing sites over in the larger communities.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hale. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Waldron.
Thank you.
And you're excused.
Thank you.
Ms. Saintson, do you have anything you'd like to share with us this morning? Welcome.
Good morning. Before I give you an update, I would like to make you aware that one of our CERT members, Mr. Bill Preen, he was a very active CERT member since 2018. He was in his 80s, and that man never missed anything. Unfortunately, he passed away on Saturday. He'll be greatly missed. He was out at the food drive here recently and worked that. He was just a go-getter, so I wanted to give my condolences to Mr. Preen's family.
On behalf of the board, we express our condolences to his family. And
We'll pass it along. Thank you.
so much.
But I also want to make you aware that we continue to put resource requests in. We had a facility contact us late yesterday. We put that in first thing this morning. Supplies of PPE are starting to slow down. So we're not getting near as much as we were in the beginning. However, we are still receiving masks and once in a while hand sanitizer. But gowns, shoe covers, things like that, they're very rare to come in. We are going to be scheduling with our CERT team shelter training. We're working on that right now. We'll bring in less than 10 members because we need that hands-on, so we won't have any more than 10 in the EOC. We're still trying to limit who all comes in, but we're going to get that training for them before hurricane season starts. And we also continue to monitor our food banks because it's our understanding that the need is rising. And so we're letting the state know that as well, that we, so we can continue that support of the food banks. But that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. Do I have any questions or comments from Ms.
No, I'll just mention, and I spoke to Ms. Sharon about this. I have been in touch with Mr. Bradley. He's aware that you're running short, so hopefully something will come in soon.
We appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one question for you, Ms. Singson, if I might. There's a lot of talk about resurgence at some point, whether it's going to be in the winter or whether it's just going to be based upon on people getting back too quickly on anything. My question is is the state doing anything to prepare beforehand before any resurgence starts, or are we going to find ourselves back in the same boat that we were in when this thing began?
They're trying to get as much of the PPE in place and throughout the state and in the hands of the EOCs so that we can, be as prepared as possible.
Is that why you're seeing a slowdown in the number of PPE that comes in?
That and already pre-positioning, and some of the facilities are also able to get it now, and VEMA is also going to be sending in shipments of PPE directly to the facilities.
Okay. Just don't want to be behind the 8 ball again on this thing if it starts back up.
No, I think we're in a much better position today than we were.
Right.
And we are continuing to prepare just in case, because we're preparing as if it's not going away.
Okay. Right,
Thank you so much for your comments this
All right,
morning.
thank you.
Hold on.
I know
the chairman, he gave the regards on the commissioners, but also for farm share, let the family know that they have our regards. I think I remember him. He was very active out there.
Yes, I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, just for Sharon's benefit, number 12 on this agenda is an ordinance that we're going to pass, and we're not going to allow hurricanes this year.
Chief Hand, if you come forward, please. Just the short version, are you holding up okay with your PPE?
Yes, sir. Everything's going real well. We've kind of leveled off on the number of COVID calls that we're doing. The facilities are starting to hold patients more than transport the ones that they're able to quarantine in the facility. We also got our shipment of gloves that I placed a couple months ago that finally has trickled in, and so we're in really good shape with our PPE. Everything's kind of, been going steady since last week, and no issues at all. The only, like I said last week, we are here for the community. We're disinfected well in the ambulances. The hospitals are the same thing. They're doing everything they can. It is safe to go to the hospital. It is safe to call 911. I just want to reassure the community that if we're needed, we're taking all the precautions to make sure that they're taken well care of and they're kept safe from COVID.
All right. Thank you so much for your comment.
Yes.
Chairman, you said it's safe to go in the hospital. That means that there's no visits going on, no?
There's no, sir.
No visits. You did say that it was safe to go to the hospital.
Yes, it is safe to go to the hospital. They are taking their precautions.
Okay.
They are allowing visitors now at Lake City Medical Center. If any community member gets transferred over there and gets admitted, they are allowing visitors to come in. One per family, and they have to take precautions, but they are allowing visitors again now.
Thank you so much. Mr. Harris, you have anything additional this morning, COVID-wise or county-wise?
No, sir.
All right, sir. Do I have any other department heads that wish to speak about anything?
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. There is one thing. I've been working with Ms. Betty on some guidelines on very methodically, very carefully opening some aspects of the library. And we've been working on a list of guidelines. I won't go through all of that right now, but I just want to share with you that some of the activities will begin soon enough on allowing for the materials to come back to the library, and then the rest of it will open up very slowly thereafter.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr. Norris. Mandy, will you start the 3-minute clock, please?
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Want to give you a quick update. I know y'all are probably tired of hearing about the census, but we're not there yet. We still got a long way to go, so you're going to keep hearing from me. Last week, the previous week, we made a grade increase of 2.3%, which was 2.5 times of what we had been doing. I'd like to report that this most recent week, which ended on Sunday, we were actually up to 2.9%, so almost a 3-point increase. So that's more like 3 times of almost of what we've been doing. So we do know that there were paper applications, the second round of those that were mailed out. And so some of this bump is from people filling out those paper applications, but yet it still helps that the librarians that are calling are reminding them to fill those out as they're coming in. So it's still been a huge part, but tickled with the numbers. We have seen it start tailing off the last couple of days again, so we'll see how it rolls, because we do see these ebbs and flows as we push. But we are currently at 50.9% for the county self-reporting rate, and like I say, 57 was our rate 10 years ago. So we're within, under 7 now of getting to our self-reporting rate. But I think this past week, there was 4,427 phone calls made, and we're continuing to still work that. Miss Betty and her staff are still doing a great job. So we appreciate you guys allowing us to do that, and we're going to keep pushing forward, and we'll get there. So
Commissioner Gamble's got his shirt on today, looking good there.
yeah, he doesn't listen. We were going to do that all together, you know, as a team.
Do you have any extra larges?
Isn't that what that is?
It feels like a large, but it says extra large.
I can't help that part of it. So.
Quarantine's been working on Commissioner Gamble.
It has.
You need a 2X?
I need a 2X.
All right, I think we've got a couple of 2Xs over at the office, so.
I wore it for a reason, though. It was a reminder to tell y'all about something yesterday. We were doing some work over at the American Legion Post yesterday, and I got a phone call from a local number I didn't recognize, so I took a break and went and answered it. And a very polite young lady, and I can't remember her name, said, "This is so-and-so from the Suwannee County, or Suwannee River Regional Library, and I'm calling you in regards to your census."
How about that?
And I played along and answered all her questions, and she was just as nice as she could be. So I just wanted to share. So then I introduced myself, and we got to talking and asked her how it was going, and she said she got some hang-ups and some cusses. I said, well, just keep a smile on your face. They're not mad at you. They're just mad at the world. But she said overall experience has been pretty good. And I don't know how many pages y'all gave her, but she said she had almost made it through the end of her list, so you might want to find out who that was and give her some more.
Well, Miss Betty and
Wow.
yeah,
That's good.
And Miss Amy are working on that, and then of course we're keeping a running list, so we know if we missed anyone or if we had to leave a message or whatever. So as we run through, we can go back and revisit ones that we actually missed. So we're documenting every phone call that's made. So, and then we have, as we're starting to open up, we've got other plans of things we're going to be working on. So we're getting there. It's just tough. It's, you know, a lot of hard work. So. But I'm tickled of the improvement we've made.
But they were very professional, very polite. So we thank you for what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, we appreciate them.
Anybody?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Norris. Mr. Greg Scott, Parks and Rec. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to be here every Tuesday.
The first hour or the second hour?
Yes.
Mr. Scott gets the balance of Mr. Norris's time, doesn't he?
Just want to give you an update on where we are. We have canceled Babe Ruth baseball and softball. We're in the process of giving refunds or credits for those people who registered for those programs. It's going well. We're about to wrap that up. We are reviewing options for the summer. We're not there to even have a plan yet because there's too many variables. We are gearing up for the aquatic season. You have to plan a month ahead before you can get to start. So we're planning that start date may be pushed back for a while, but we are in the process of that. Day camp, we're doing the same thing on, but looking at national standards and what other people are doing in the state and other places. We haven't got a clear picture yet if we can make it work or not, but I know that the parents are ready to get rid of some kids. But we understand that, but we got to be safe at the same time. As far as the springs go, the river is dropping very, very slowly. It is dropping until we get some more rain. It'll go back up again, but normally what we do is look at the river levels. Once it gets clear, we go and sanitize, and then normally we open back up, but we're not ready to do that yet until that drops, and then we get maybe some more guidance from the governor on more opening and kind of, as the board moves forward too, looking at what we open when, but we're not there yet. I'll keep you posted on that. We are tracking it, monitoring it, making sure we're doing it right, but I'd be glad to answer any questions anybody's got. At Royal Springs, just remember, there's a boat ramp there. We're keeping it closed. If somebody needs to go in there for boating purposes, they can call the office. We can get them in or out, but we don't want to open the gate and leave it open because all the spring people think that's their entrance to get into the spring. Then the boaters have no room to put their boats or trailers in. So,
Any questions or comments for Mr. Scott?
if you've noticed, the arena is getting close to being complete, at least the roof phase. On the way out, swing through is pretty impressive. It's much larger than it was before, so guys are doing a nice job, and we're excited about getting that up and running. We have had a lot of comments from rodeo people that want to get started. There's been some that have got special permission from somebody to do some social distancing rodeos. We're not ready for that yet. We want to make sure that it's like I said, I was quoted in the paper about tournaments and things. We've told the state people about tournaments. We're not interested in doing tournaments until we get the all clear. Because, I said, we want your money, we don't want your cookies. So, but there'll be a time for the money to flow in later from the revenue, from the economics of those, but we don't need those extra burdens that come along with that sometimes. So, but we will be moving forward on that in the future. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Thanks, sir. At this time, do I have anyone from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will move on to our closing comments. Mr. Bravatt, do you have anything this morning?
No, sir, I don't. Thank you.
Mr. Harris?
I'll just comment that, the governor has finally freed up the salons and barbershops to open up. That was good news. We did send a letter last week after your meeting. I'm confident that the governor's office received lots of letters and lots of inquiry from people throughout the state, but we're thankful that those are up and running now. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Commissioner Richardson?
Just to echo what the administrator said about thanking the governor for opening those hair salons, and hopefully he can get some guidelines on opening some of the other ones that we still have questions about, like gyms and such. I also spoke to one of my constituents yesterday who was diagnosed a couple weeks back with COVID, and he's a big fella, and I was concerned about his health and everything. But he said that I had about 2 days. I was sick for about 2 days. He said ever since I felt fine. I've been outside working, and I think that part of the reason why we can get over it a lot quicker, especially down in Florida, is a lot more rural areas out here. We have a lot more space between people, and we have a lot more fresh air. It's God's country. And so I just encourage people. I know some people are just cooped up, but if you feel fine, get some oxygen. Go out and enjoy fresh air and get over this thing quick. Most people are getting over it, so that's good. That's good news. And then Sunday we had our church service. First time we had a number of people back. Of course, we couldn't get everybody back the way we wanted to, but it was good to see God's house being God's people getting back together again. So,
thank you so much, Commissioner Richardson. Commissioner Fleming, closing comments.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Harris is not through yet, but I see so many times we ask our judicial part of our commission, our meetings and stuff, and he very rarely have anything to say, but he keeps us out of a crack. That's our county attorney. I appreciate him so much. He don't have much to say, but he have a lot to say, and he keep all that stuff stored up in his head. And I would like to really, really say how much I appreciate you. Questions that I've asked kept me out of the crack, keep us out of the crack, and I think that's our best ally is when we have someone that know the law, can interpret the law, and know what you're talking about. And then I think about Mr. Harris. He's I don't know how you do it, but it's just a gift, I guess. Every one of us has a different gift, and how you digest a lot of things that you're about to talk about in a few minutes. Some things But I did receive a call from Small County Coalition. We're part of the Small County Coalition, in which I'm one of the executive members. And I did this Zoom thing, first time I ever done it was last Friday. And Small County Coalition, in fact, the state of Florida going to be receiving quite a bit of money. Now, I don't want to give that number, too much of that number, but I know the first part of that number is the CARES Act, and they have $150 billion. And then it also have $2.3 trillion that will be coming down, some of it will be coming down to the state of Florida. I did talk with Chris Doolin this morning, and he told me that he would talk to Mr. Harris, so I think he has some information also. He said it was through, he was letting me do it, but you're not out of the crack, you're not out of the woods, because I know you got some more information in there. So I'm going to give the rest of the little time I have, Mr. Chairman, to Randy, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, as you know, we had a meeting before we came here. When we left that meeting, in travel from that location to this is when I received the summary version of what Mr. Doolin had to share with us. I'll try my best to explain the summary version, because he shared a long list of numbers with me. The summary is that the federal government has made a lot of money available to the states, for the states then to distribute down to the county levels. In the state of Florida, clearly the larger counties, more populous counties, are going to receive the lion's share of that funding. And it appears that about, in fact, I think the number is 3.7 million is coming to the state. But the larger counties will take the lion's share. That leaves about 1.275 billion available to 55 counties. And we will get some portion of that. Now, I haven't seen the guidance on the qualified expenditures. That's where our reservation is going to be. We're not interested in spending any money that they haven't given us absolute guidance on, and that's going to be a prerequisite before we plan to use any of it or bring any recommendations in. So when we receive that, I'll come back and give you an exhaustive report on it and see what we can do, if we do anything with it, because we will be held accountable from the state government, as the state will be held accountable with the federal government. Right. I don't envision that it'll be much different than the way that all of the funds are managed from FEMA that come from the federal government. That's a very exhaustive process of reporting, and they want to know where every penny was spent. So we'll look at it very closely before we try to make any of this or put any of this money to use locally in this county. But there is a certain amount of this funding that will come, or be allocated at least, to Suwannee County. And I'm not sure what form it will be in. I'm not sure if, like FEMA, we have to spend the money first and then seek reimbursement, or if they're going to make funding available for us to manage and then report back on. But when I have those details, I'll be glad to share it with you. And I will say, for Commissioner Fleming's, or on his behalf, it was a lot to try to grasp in a short period of time, because at this time, Mr. Doolin couldn't even share all of the details himself because it just isn't available. This is something that's new that's just come out.
I get tickled, Commissioner Fleming. He said, Mr. Doolin's talking so fast, all them numbers going right by me, I can't keep up with him. And he does talk fast.
He does talk fast.
We all know that. Yeah. But he's got a head full of knowledge.
He's smart, you better believe it.
What's going on in Tallahassee.
Yeah, no doubt.
We appreciate you, Mr. Harris. Is that all you got?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Closing comments, Commissioner Gamble.
I don't have anything today. Just thankful to be here. Thankful that everything's going in a better direction for us.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hill.
Don't have anything other than I do want to thank our employees. I haven't done that lately. Like you guys, we call on them pretty regular to take care of problems for us, and they always step up. I just want to recognize them and tell them how much I appreciate the work they do for us and for our county.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Just a couple of things real quick on closing. Just appreciate Jimmy working on that census. Keep working hard on that. Miss Betty, for your help on that with the library staff, it's really been a blessing that we've been able to make a difference in a tough time. Other thing, I've been trying to go to the radio station every 7 to 10 days. I actually went yesterday. I just trying to, on behalf of the board, trying to keep the residents updated on what's going on. And also yesterday we talked a little bit about just how grateful I am for, and this board is, for our senior class this year and what they're going through. And I shared that I'd come by the school early yesterday morning and all the pictures was out there, and that was a sight to see. It kind of hits home, and we're grateful for them and look forward to each one of them having a bright future and doing great things. Other than that, I usually like to try to close with some type of positive comment. The problem is today that I keep that on my phone, and I had a 7:45 meeting at the county and my phone's at home. So I was sitting here trying to think, and I just got to kind of come up with one on the fly. But basically what I'd like to leave us with is as department heads or as county leaders, we have our opportunity every day to be a part of the problem or a part of the solution. And I'm grateful to know that I work with and around a bunch of folks that try to be part of the solution.
Mr. Chairman, with that, it's funny you don't have your quote. Someone had sent me one this morning, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
It really just goes hand in hand. It says, "I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination." And I think that's what we're all trying to do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All we need is a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hale. Second by Commissioner Gamble. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.